Welcome to Satori Lab, the place where real human stories reveal hidden truths about kindness, courage, and the unexpected ways lives can change forever. Today's story is about loneliness, quiet dignity, and how one small act of kindness can transform hearts that have been closed for years. Everyone in town knew Mrs. Eleanor Whitmore. She was wealthy, elegant, and lived alone in the biggest house on the hill. Her mansion had tall white pillars, iron gates, and a perfectly trimmed garden that no one ever walked through. Every morning a black luxury car took her to lunch at the same expensive restaurant downtown. She always sat at the same corner table by the window. And she always sat alone. Waiters whispered about her. Customers noticed her. Some felt sorry for her, others envied her wealth, but no one ever joined her. Mrs. Whitmore had no children. Her husband had passed away many years earlier. She had no close family left, no friends who visited, no laughter echoing through her halls. Just silence, routine, and quiet meals alone. Until one afternoon, everything changed. That day the restaurant was unusually busy. A young woman named Rosa had just started working there as a part-time server. She was a single mother and also worked as a nanny in the mornings. Her 8-year-old son, Malik, usually waited for her at a nearby library until her shift ended. But that day the library was closed unexpectedly. Rosa had no one to leave Malik with, and she couldn't afford to miss her shift. Nervously, she brought Malik with her to the restaurant and asked the manager if he could sit quietly in a corner while she worked. The manager hesitated but finally agreed. Malik was a polite, soft-spoken boy with big thoughtful eyes. He carried a book and promised his mother he would stay silent and not bother anyone. For a while, everything was fine. Then lunchtime became crowded. Every table filled. Only one seat remained empty in the entire restaurant. The seat across from Mrs. Whitmore. The manager noticed Malik sitting alone near the entrance and gently told him he'd need to move so they could seat paying customers. Malik nodded obediently, looking around for a place to go. That's when he saw the empty chair. He hesitated. Everyone knew that seat was never taken. But Malik didn't know the rules of adults, wealth, or unspoken social barriers. He only saw an empty chair and a lonely woman staring out a window. So he walked over. Very politely, Malik stopped beside Mrs. Whitmore's table and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, may I sit here?" The entire restaurant fell silent. Forks paused midair. Waiters froze. A few customers exchanged uncomfortable looks. Mrs. Whitmore slowly turned her head. She looked down at the small boy standing beside her table. His shoes were worn. His shirt was clean but simple. His skin was dark, his hair tightly curled, his eyes gentle and curious. No one had spoken to her during lunch in over 10 years. Not a single stranger. She studied him for a long moment. Then something inside her shifted. She smiled. "Yes," she said softly. "You may." Gasps quietly rippled across the room. Malik climbed into the chair and placed his book on the table. He smiled back at her. "Thank you," he said. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Malik looked at her plate and said, "That looks very good." Mrs. Whitmore chuckled, a sound she herself hadn't heard in years. "It is. Would you like some?" Malik's eyes widened. "Really?" She nodded. She cut a small piece of her bread and passed it to him. And just like that, the wall around her heart cracked. They began to talk. Malik told her about his school, his favorite subject, and how his mom worked very hard. He told her he wanted to be an engineer one day so he could build bridges. Mrs. Whitmore listened more intently than she had listened to anyone in decades. She told him about her late husband, how they used to travel, how the house on the hill once echoed with music and guests and laughter. As they spoke, something magical happened. The heavy loneliness that clung to her slowly lifted. And Malik felt something too. He felt seen. Not judged by his clothes, not ignored because of his age or skin color, not dismissed as just a kid. For the first time that day, he felt like he truly belonged somewhere. When Rosa finally finished her shift, she rushed over, panic in her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she said quickly to Mrs. Whitmore. "He didn't bother you, did he?" Mrs. Whitmore looked up warmly. "On the contrary, he was the best company I've had in years." Rosa blinked in surprise. Malik grinned. "We talked about bridges." From that day on, Malik sat with Mrs. Whitmore every afternoon. At first people whispered, Some disapproved, some stared, but slowly, the whispers faded. They were replaced by something else. Smiles, curiosity, warmth. Other customers started greeting Mrs. Whitmore again. Some even joined the conversation. The lonely widow who once sat alone had become the heart of the room. Mrs. Whitmore began inviting Rosa and Malik to her house on Sundays. Malik played in her garden. Rosa helped her cook. Laughter returned to the mansion. Mrs. Whitmore even created a small scholarship fund in Malik's name for children who dreamed big but had little. Years passed. Malik grew taller, smarter, more confident. And Mrs. Whitmore grew lighter, happier, more alive. She wasn't just wealthy anymore. She was rich in something far more valuable. Connection, love, family. All because one child had the courage to sit beside a lonely stranger and treat her like a human being. Sometimes the greatest change doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from a quiet voice that asks a simple question. May I sit here? And when we answer with kindness, two worlds meet, and both are forever changed. Thank you for watching Satori Lab. If this story touched your heart, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that remind us how powerful compassion truly is. Until next time, stay kind, stay aware, and stay human.